Hey everyone, I'm Alex with Stellar Finish Detailing, and in today's video, I'm going to go through all the steps from start to finish on how to properly wash your vehicle. My hope is that after today's video, you guys will have the confidence and the skills to properly look after your own vehicle. Now stick with me and we'll go through the entire process together. For the wash process, I will be utilizing our tried and true 2-bucket washing kit. This contains all the essential elements you guys will need to safely and confidently wash your own vehicle at home. For today's wash, we will be utilizing a pressure washer. As we're a professional detailing shop, we use pressure washers because they're more efficient and they help rinse the vehicle better. If you just have a standard garden hose, that's totally fine. We just recommend that you use a garden head sprayer to control the flow of water. What I have here is a foam can, and foam cannons are a great tool that you can incorporate in with your pressure washer to help pre-soak the vehicle and give your vehicle a deeper clean during your wash process. But for today, we're just going to stick to using the 2-bucket wash kit and show you guys the basics. Now here's a quick tip before we get started with the wash. We want to ensure that we're not washing the vehicle in direct sunlight. It causes the panels to get way too hot and our water and chemicals can actually bake onto the surface. Choose a time of day that's cooler, like the morning or the late afternoon, and in the shade. Now let's get started. Now to begin the wash process, we start by filling both our buckets up with water. Now we're going to fill both buckets up with water, but we're only going to put our soap into one of the buckets. And I will explain the reason for that at a later part of the video. So for now, start by filling your bucket up just below the lip on the top of the bucket. That should be plenty of water for each bucket. Now you're probably asking what exactly is in the bottom of each of our buckets. These are called grit guards, and their purpose is to help separate the grit and contamination that washes off the wash mitt and settles to the bottom of the bucket from coming back up into the clean wash water. Now if you use these with every wash, you're going to get minimal swirling on your vehicle's paint because all of the dirt that we've washed off the vehicle is going to stay in the bottom of the bucket. So now that our buckets are filled, it's time to add the soap. Whatever soap you have at home, make sure you follow the manufacturer's recommendations for how much to add to your buckets. We have about 5 gallons of water here, so for Car Pro Reset, which is what we use at Stellar Finish, we're going to add roughly 2 ounces. So now that the soap's in the bucket, we're going to use our pressure washer or our hose to agitate the water and get the suds up. Before we wash the entire body of the vehicle, we always want to start by washing the wheels first. The reason for this is that the wheels are the dirtiest part of the vehicle. We want to get all that dirt off of there before we start washing the more delicate panels. Just imagine if we had just washed the entire vehicle and it was clean and we washed the dirtiest part. We can risk spraying water all over our freshly washed paint. So by washing the wheels first, we eliminate the chance of that happening. Now, when I wash a set of wheels, I prefer to use several types of brushes rather than using a big wash mitt. The reason for that is if I use a brush, I can get into many more different intricate areas such as around the spokes, the brake caliper, and also the lug nuts. If I was to use a big wash mitt, I'm only really going to be able to get the outer face. So by using a set of brushes like these, you're going to be able to get a more complete clean and a better result. Now we've talked about filling our buckets, we've talked about the tools that we're going to use, and we've discussed why we're actually washing the wheels first. So now let's get right into the wheel wash itself. So the first step in washing our wheels is going to be using our pressure washer or our hose to give the wheel area a thorough rinse. What this is doing is removing any loose contaminants and grit from the wheel surface. We also want to pay special attention to the wheel arch and inner fender well area, which can hold a ton of dirt. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and start the rinse. The next step, we're going to use P&S Brake Buster or any similar type of wheel cleaner to help dislodge any contamination that's still stuck on the wheel, as well as help aid in removal of the old tire dressings. Now that we've left the Brake Buster to dwell on the surface for around 30 seconds, we can take our tire sidewall brush and agitate the sidewall. Next up, we're going to use our wheel barrel brush to help us get into the further towards the back areas of the wheel. This is a longer style brush that's skinny enough to get in behind areas such as the brake caliper and in behind the spokes. Now it's time to clean the face of the wheel, and to do that I'm going to use our very soft wheel detailing brush. This has very, very fine bristles that aren't going to scratch the delicate surface of the wheel. So we're going to just take it and go all over the front surface of the spokes, in and around the inner portions here, and just work our way around the wheel circumference. Now the final step of actually washing the wheel is going to be detailing the lug nut area. We're going to use a brush that has boar's hair bristles, which are soft and won't scratch, but they're still stiff enough that they can get a good clean of that tight, intricate area. Another great use for your inner barrel brush is to clean the inner wheel lip of your fender, because it reaches into the back and gives you a good cleaning power to scrub out any remaining dirt that might still be left behind. And now we're going to give it a rinse. So that finishes up exactly how to properly wash your wheel. You've seen all the steps involved with doing so, so now we would repeat that on the remaining 3 wheels on the vehicle. After that, we're ready to go into the main body wash of the car. So now that we've finished washing the wheels, what we have to do next before we can start washing the body of the vehicle is discard our used wash water and replace it with new stuff and fresh soap. This water is full of grit from the wheels and is not suitable for use on our paintwork. So now that we've washed our wheels, we've discarded our water, we're filling the buckets back up to prepare for washing the rest of the vehicle's bodywork. And once they're full, we're going to add our same amount of soap as in the first step, and then re-suds the buckets with the hose or the pressure washer again. So just like we did before we washed our wheels, we want to give the vehicle's body a good pre-rinse with the pressure washer or hose. This will help remove any loose contaminants or particles that might have settled on the surface. If we didn't do that, we could risk scratching or marring the surface when we go to use our wash mitt on it. So now we're going to go around the entire vehicle panel by panel and give it a good spray down. As we discussed before, adding a foam cannon into your wash process is a great way to get a deeper clean on your vehicle. The process starts by foaming the entire surface and then using a very gentle detailing brush to agitate all the areas that are harder to reach. We would then rinse the entire vehicle off and be ready for our hand wash step. Now, if you don't have a foam cannon at home, that's totally fine. You can catch up with us in the next segment where we actually begin the hand wash. But for right now, I'm going to foam the entire vehicle. So now that we've cleaned our wheels, the entire vehicle has had its pre-rinse, it's now time to start our wash. So the reason that we use 2 buckets instead of just 1 is that one bucket is our rinse bucket and the other bucket is our soap bucket. After washing a panel, we first dunk our wash mitt into the rinse water, dislodging all of the dirt and particulate from that wash mitt. Only then do we dunk into our soap and have a fresh wash mitt with clean soap to put on our next panel. This process ensures that we are never putting a dirty wash mitt onto our vehicle, thus minimizing swirl marks and marring from happening. So now that we're ready to start washing, here's a little tip. We always start from the top of the vehicle and work our way down. The reason we never want to go from bottom to top is that the lower areas of the car, especially the rocker panels and the areas behind the wheels, are the absolute dirtiest part of the car. We do not want to risk bringing that material up onto the more delicate areas. So now let's get started on washing the roof. So after we've washed our first panel, as we stated before, we want to dunk our wash mitt into our rinse water. We want to agitate it enough to dislodge any of the particles. And then we dunk it back into our soap and we're ready to go into the next wash step. Now, as we work our way down the vehicle, we want to ensure that we're using the proper motions with our wash mitt. We don't want to use a circular motion. Swirling the paint means you're going to get swirl marks. So we want to use long, straight passes and follow the aerodynamic flow of the vehicle or the body lines. What this does is keeps any slight marring or scratches flowing with the lines of the car, thus disguising them. So even the top surface of the vehicle, we want to make sure we're flowing in a uniform direction. We don't want to go across, we want to continue with the aerodynamic flow of the vehicle. So washing front to back. One thing to note is that I'm not putting very much pressure on the surface. Just a little bit to contact the paint evenly is all that's needed. We do not want to put too much pressure on the paintwork as it's not necessary. So now that we've washed the entire vehicle, it's time to rinse all of the soap off. We know that conditions aren't always ideal when you're washing your car, so if it's something where you have to wash each panel one at a time and rinse it one at a time, that's totally fine. But for this example, we're going to be rinsing the entire vehicle in one go. So we're nearing the final stages of our wash process, but there's one final and very important step that we need to address. We need to dry the vehicle after we've washed it. The reason that drying is so important is that, especially when using municipal water or well water, this water contains certain minerals and deposits that, if left to dry on the surface of the vehicle, can cause water spotting. And that can become very unsightly and difficult to remove. So by using a purpose-made microfiber drying towel, or in some instances, a leaf blower or compressed air, we can safely dry the vehicle and finish off the entire wash process. We're going to show you how to do that right now. We always want to start with our top surfaces and again, work our way to the bottom. We want to throw the towel onto the surface like a tablecloth and then gently drag it. As you can see, these towels are extremely absorbent and they're meant to dry car surfaces quickly and painlessly. Now when it comes to drying vertical surfaces like the fenders and the doors, I like to use a technique called the matador technique. That's where we hold our towel kind of like a matador would with a raging bull, and we flop it on to the panel and we just let it slide down. We're not putting any weight or pressure onto the center of the towel. We're just letting the fibers suck up all the water. And to get the lower sections, we can fold it in half so it doesn't touch the ground. And we're just pressing on either side of it and letting the middle of the towel do all the absorbing. And that's how we dry our vertical surfaces. Now when it comes to drying our wheels, there are a couple ways we can do that. The first and most simple way to do that is by using a smaller version of a drying towel. We don't want to use one that's used on our paintwork on our wheels because, again, we're trying to avoid any cross-contamination between our wheels and our paintwork. So this is one that's dedicated for our wheels only. And what we can do is just rub it all over the surface and try to soak up as much water as possible. Be sure to take your time. Wheels are a lot more intricate, so they can take a little longer to dry. Another way we can dry our wheels, if you have the option, is with a leaf blower or compressed air. Now this is very useful because it blows the water out of every single nook and cranny and gives us a totally dry finish afterwards with no residue. Now, if you are someone that does have a leaf blower or a car dryer at their disposal, you can use those in place of using the towel. They are going to do a better job and efficiently blow out water out of all your seams and nooks and crannies better than a towel can. But if you don't have that, a towel is still a fantastic and safe way to dry your car. So now that we've fully washed and dried the vehicle, it's a good time to go around and do a quick inspection to make sure that we haven't missed any spots, or if there's things like water streaks that are present. If there are, we can use a great quick detailer such as CarPro Elixir or similar, and a very soft microfiber towel, and spray the towel and just give the area a little bit of a wipe, for example. That should clean up any missed spots and leave your paint looking flawless. So now that we've covered the entire wash process from start to finish, I really hope that you guys are comfortable and feel very confident in performing your own wash at home now. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, please feel free to reach out to us anytime and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you at the next video.